Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
So I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, it's for our class points.
Okay.
So over these past few weeks, we had class meetings, and we went over where to spend money and some ideas on how to fundraise more money for each class. And the senior class, we're doing online fundraising in places like Chipotle and Panda Express to make more money. And then this past Friday, we had our first Friday activity, which was flag football. And then our prom is May 10th, and our theme is masquerade. And our building is the 530 in Marysville. And we're having our prom committee meetings right now to discuss on how we want to get a DJ and where to spend our money wisely, which our next prom committee meeting is tomorrow. And now for our spring food fair, our paperwork is now available, so clubs are turning in their paperwork for food fair. And then ASB applications are available on April 1st, and they're due April 23rd. Next week, we're visiting Berry School, ASB is, to inform 8th graders about Yuba City High School and how we run ASB. The past week of school, students were preparing for their interviews for our CTE pathways, and they went really well. And then our ASB team wanted to say thank you so much for your support in our ASB leadership program at Yuba City High School over the years. You have granted us permission to attend the CATA Leadership Conference at UC Santa Barbara the last 2 years, and it has changed the trajectory of our leadership program. As a class, we have grown in our leadership and understanding, and we've been inspired to serve our school site to the best of our ability. So many things about CATA have positively impacted our lives as young leaders. The ASB leadership advisors at both high schools have been communicating in hopes of both high schools being able to attend CATA for the same session this summer. Paperwork is en route for your approval, and we're asking for your continued support and investment. We believe that we are the leaders of not just the future, but also the present. We will represent the district well now and in our future endeavors. Thank you so much from the YCHS ASB leadership team.
Thank you. Nice job. All right, staff recognition.
So thank you. I am stepping in on behalf of Director Rob Pogue. So tonight we'd like to recognize someone from our nutritional services department. The CARE program, Connect, Appreciate, Recognize our staff for the purpose of promoting excellence within our district. So I'd like to invite Karen Leno and Ophelia up to the podium to be recognized. That's it.
Don't be shy.
Congratulations.
So I just wanted to say a couple things real quick about Ophelia. She's been working with nutrition services for 4 years. She's currently working at Park Avenue as a cook transport. She's just a positive breath of fresh air with our kids. She comes in, gets on their level. She breaks down meals, kids don't understand what things are. She speaks to them. Multi-language, just gets and gives them that mama love sometimes that these kids need, especially at our younger sites, and just makes them happy to come in and see nutrition services and see what we have to offer. So it's nice to walk into a kitchen and see smiling faces and happy people that want to work, and Ophelia is a prime example of that. I've never seen, there could be a million things going on, ovens, timers, everything's going off, and this woman still has a smile on her face and greets every single one of the kids that come through that door with, they are the most important thing in the world, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So definitely notice it on our admin level. Her manager is here as well, and he's actually the one that made the recommendation for the show. We definitely just want to say thank you, and we appreciate what you do. We know the kids appreciate it, and thank you for having quality meals and putting pride in your work. Thank you. All right. Her manager, managers, Park Avenue, everybody. All right.
Let's get, we just go a little bit this way. Thank you. That is a perfect smile. Congratulations.
Thank you guys.
Okay. Reports and information, timesheet payroll process. Mr. Bentley.
I have a one slideshow. Let's throw up there, and we have that. It's on. Okay, so this is not too different than what I sent out to the board as far as the communication earlier. But this is the life cycle, the time cycle for our manual pay. Most of our employees for their regular pay are paid at the end of the month on the 30th. But if you have extra pay situation or substitutes, they are paid on the 10th of every month. And this is essentially how it works. Now, I will say we process a lot of time cards. So, you know, in excess of 1,500 time cards per month. And our current process, we have the last workday on the time card of the 18th. And that is then paid on the 10th of the next month. Currently, the process is done by manual paper time cards. We have the concern over timing has been brought up before. We have looked at some different things, and one of the things that we have had some conversation, more than just conversation, a little bit of a deeper dive on is doing electronic time card process. That will take some time to implement, and we need to just make sure that we have everybody on board as far as HR and payroll to move forward. So that is something that, just pointing out, our current process is manual time cards, but there could be some room to, you know, improve that process. So the below is just kind of the what happens during those days between the 19th and when the payroll is paid. So you could just, I'm not going to read all that out to you, but essentially, employee submits it, supervisor reviews it, it's passed on to HR. We have a lot of different unique pay situations, and HR confirms that they're being paid according to the contract. It's moved on to the payroll system. There's processing there. Paychecks are ultimately paid and processed at Sutter County Superintendent of Schools. That's what that acronym is. And there sometimes are some mandatory wage garnishments that happen at that level, and then they are actually processed. And there's a couple days of either mail time and or processing for electronic funds transfer, which most of our employees do electronic funds transfer.
Scott, when you say manual, can you kind of explain, I know you talked about electronic and then manual. What do you mean by manual?
Manual is like, you know, time card is on a piece of paper, and once it's all checked and verified, it's, you know, payroll gets it and they key it in and process it from there.
And it's been a minute since I've been a substitute in the district, but I recall just going into like ASOP or Frontline, whatnot, and then just accepting a job and not having to.
That's a very good point. So sorry, that's not what I said was not 100% accurate. There's really a lot of staff are paid through ASOP as far as
subbing for a
substituting. Very good point.
A pay period. I mean, you get a teacher that has a prep and they're covering another class where someone's gone. That's, I mean, I did those timesheets and they're inundating.
So on the certificated side, it is more electronic. On the classified side, it's hourly pay, and it's more actually.
I just can't believe in this day and age when you require teachers to submit grades online that you can't do this online.
I'm not saying we can.
And truthfully, if I work on the 19th of a month, and like if I work on the 19th of March, and I don't get paid until the 10th of May, that's a ridiculous amount of time. Ridiculous amount of time, especially to ask a sub to have to wait.
No, it's not the subs that are waiting.
Oh yeah, they are.
I was thinking it was more that when you cover a separate.
No, it's subs and teachers and all of them.
What is the methodology behind doing it all in bulk on the 10th?
As opposed to doing it more every couple of weeks or something like that?
Like a rolling?
Or when it's gone through the appropriate, when it's gone through all the appropriate approvals and checks and balances and it's ready, submitting it to be paid.
Well, that would, I guess, result in several pay processes. I haven't heard of a school district doing that. I don't know if that, I'm not sure what the capabilities are. I don't know. I know that the Sutter County Superintendent of Schools will only do it once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know in your Friday letter, Scott, you mentioned several really small districts and how they're able to do it. But you didn't include any of the bigger districts. In Marysville, if you work on the 31st of March, you get paid on the 10th of April. In Plumas, if you work on the 31st of March, you get paid on the 10th of April. In Twin Rivers, if you work on the 31st of March, you get paid on the 10th of April. And those are bigger districts than ours. So if they can figure out how to do it, I don't understand why we can't.
Are you talking about?
Any of it, all of it. I called these districts and asked. They don't have this huge time delay. So I don't know why we can't seem to be able to get it together to pay our people in a more timely manner.
I think
Waiting 42 days for pay is ridiculous.
I think what I heard this time though from Scott, and please Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there is a path forward as far as streamlining the process and going more electronic, excuse me. It's a process that would need some transition time. And is that a fair, accurate statement?
Yeah, even what I mentioned about the electronic time cards would not get it to the 31st. We're talking, cutting some time off of that. It would just take, money, to be honest with you, to make it, more staff, to make it more timely.
These other districts don't have more staff. They figured it out. Maybe we just need to talk to these other districts and figure out how they're doing it. I think Marysville actually has less staff.
We had a conversation with Marysville. I don't think they, I think they have some challenges with accuracy.
We do too.
Yeah.
Some challenges with accuracy, even the way we're doing it.
Mhm.
So maybe we can get it together. That would be nice.
So is it possible for us as a board to request that we look into other options and see what if we were to go all electronic or whatever other process that you guys have researched, how much time that would take off of our process that we have now?
I think that's a reasonable request. I would ask the board to give us the time to get a new assistant super of HR in, because it heavily involves their department.
Right. That's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
But would you guys as a board like to move forward with
It just
looking
needs to
into
get
exploring
going, because
processes?
this has been a multiple year. I mean, I've been asking this question for years.
Well, I thought that, okay, give me. But I thought that's what Scott said, is they have looked into they are looking into doing the electronic. Is that correct?
We are looking into that, but yeah, and
But you don't want to pull the lever until you have an assistant suit.
I think that is, yes, we need an assistant, yes, because we need their input to the whole process. You're talking about changing people's duties and how things get done, and it's going to take some time to figure all that out. And can we do it with our existing staff, or do we need to change things up? I don't know the answers to all those questions.
Okay, but in order to research the answers, or at least to start, is there anything holding us back from just looking into it right now? Starting now.
We've looked into the electronic time card system. And besides that, again, I think I'm going to need to coordinate with the assistant superintendent of HR to see how the two departments are going to work together on the process.
And so I've been here because I Shelley managed you have in terms of the request. And I think some of the challenges that we've been working through and trying to navigate is that, you're not always coded in the same way. So everyone thinks there's a single code and that's how you get paid. There's multi-coding, there's some intricacies regarding how people are paid. And I think that that's been some of the conversation about which system will be the best, which ones will run into more glitches. And I think that that's what Scott is saying is until we get our assistant super HR seated along with Scott to look at it from a bigger picture, because I know that it sounds easy, but I've been here and I think that we've been trying to navigate electronic timesheets since the days of Hallie, and we haven't been able to get there because of just you bring HR in and there's all these nuances they talk about, and then it stops again, and then business starts. So I think it's fair. I think we hear the request in terms of, can we condense the amount of time that it's taking to pay either for extra time or subs? I think we all, that would be a goal for all of us. How much you can condense that, because I also know that one of the things that our HR, and I know there's mistakes, but I think the accuracy overall is good, and that is one thing that we have to make sure is that there's not these huge issues that are created because we go electronically too fast. I'm always a little skeptical when we go too fast.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I mean, I think it's, in all honesty, I think it's unrealistic if we think that 1,500 number goes to zero. I think that there are always one-offs or multi-offs where you're gonna need paper timesheets to be filled out. I completely understand. But if we can somehow streamline the process to bring that number down, I think that I'd be happy.
And I'm here length of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the result, right? Reducing the number of the
Timesheets.
timesheets that they have, like manual timesheets that they have to process. I
It
think
will
they're naturally condense the timeline to it.
But part of it, though, can I add something, is there's still a vetting system that you can't shortcut. Because
1,500 time cards will still need to be reviewed.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll still need to
Yeah.
review it.
Well,
And the
no,
job
I
number has to be on them for.
I completely agree, but like, so just from the teacher perspective of this, and I know this is just one little minute example, but like if I'm out for an hour, 2 hours, or half a day, right? I have entered that into ASOP, and ASOP has either identified another person to take that position. So to me, somehow there should be some communication there that automatically alerts, the person that they took my job or whatnot. And I know when I was working at the county, my supervisors then had to go in and they approved my absence for the reason that I was out for. And I'm assuming that they would then also go in and approve the person who took my position as well. But I can tell you that if there was somebody else that was covering mine, they didn't do it by the 31st. Click, I didn't get that notification that your absence has been approved. Sometimes until like April, and my absence was in August.
Right.
I'm just like 100%,
No, I know, it's
being
true.
fully transparent, but like people were still paid. But I just see like, I don't know if that's a process that can be translated or copied and pasted and done for every single job, if that makes sense.
But I
But
think that's what Scott's saying, is that right now he just needs a partner to work through this process and
Sure.
get everyone has the same goal in mind.
Yeah.
It's just how do we get there?
I think we're all in favor of more accuracy and more efficiency.
yeah,
Absolutely.
all right, cool. All right. There is one comment from the public on items not on the agendas. Can we get the round up, please?
Items not appearing on the agenda, notice to the public. The Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54954.2, provides that no action or discussion shall be taken on any item unless it is adequately described in a timely posted agenda. Accordingly, though the public may comment on matters within the board's jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda, the board cannot respond to such comments without running the risk of deliberating or initiating discussion on topics not properly before the board. Given the prohibitions set forth in the Brown Act and the risk associated with responding to public comments, the board does not respond to the community's questions or comments. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings.
Thank you. Mike Reed?
Well, thank you, Board Member Pretty, for reading all of that, because that's a long thing to read. Again, good evening, Board President Dami and Superintendent Simi. I'm pleased to be here. I wanted to come over actually and introduce myself. My name is Mike Reed, and I am now the Trustee Area 2 representative for the Sutter County School Board. One of the reasons I thought it might be appropriate to come over and introduce myself is because that board position was occupied by the former board member for over 14 years. And so that has changed. And just a quick little background about myself, and I'll let you get about your business, I promise. I'm almost a lifelong Yuba City resident, attended Bridge Street School, Gray Avenue School, Yuba City High School. I hold a Bachelor of Arts degree in Liberal Studies and also 2 master's degrees, one in administrative leadership. I almost started my educational career at Little New Estro School. Out here, I was there for 11 years. I then went to Franklin, where I ended up being the vice principal, became a principal out in the Wheatland School District at Lone Tree and also at Wheaton Elementary. And this is where my lifelong residency in Yuba City changed. I took a position with a company that actually served the islands in Hawaii. And I was a statewide consultant for the Department of Education in Hawaii for 3 years, returning back to the mainland to be a superintendent up in the Humboldt area. And so here, my wife and I find ourselves again. My wife worked as a teacher in Yuba City Unified. Of your 17 schools in my trustee area, there are actually 4, I believe, that reside in my trustee area. They're Park Avenue, Bridge Street, Gray Avenue, and Yuba City High School. And I really enjoyed when I was out campaigning for this position, listening to the positions, the thoughts, and the wisdom of many of our local constituents. So again, unless you have any questions, I just want to come over and introduce myself and say thank you for the work you guys do here in Yuba City and for the students of the parents you serve right here in this district. It's highly important work, and I applaud you for it. And Doreen, with that being said, you notice I didn't say one thing about your interim budget. So there you go. It looks fantastic. Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
On a motion by member Ciocio, second by member Lamb, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Action item, audit report for fiscal year 2024.
Okay, we have representatives from Crow to explain our audit report. I gave you a little heads up what's going on in the audit report in the Friday letter, but I'll let Jen Harris give the full details there.
Great, thank you, Scott. Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm Jen Harris. I'm your audit partner, so it's my signature on all of your audit opinions. Just a bit of background here. Typically, we would have been here earlier in the year presenting the results for June 30, 2024. The filing deadline for your audit report is actually December 15th annually. And this year, there was a delay in receiving information from a third party that processes certain transactions on behalf of the district. And so, of no fault of the district, that information was not available both for your management team to close the books from a financial reporting standpoint, and then also for us to be able to audit the information. And so management went through the appropriate steps to ask for an extension on the audit report, obtained appropriate approval, and once that information was available, man, it was lightning speed to get everything done and issue this audit report for your review and to make sure it was filed with the state time. So all good from that front. Crow is actually engaged to perform 4 separate audits for the district. So we'll talk about each of these as we go through. We do perform our audit under governmental accounting and auditing standards, as well as the generally accepted auditing standards in the United States. We perform using a risk-based audit approach, meaning that we don't audit every single transaction, right? We would have to be here shadowing your business services team to, check every single thing that they did if they did that. But we go through and we assess where the risk may be, and then perform sampling and apply materiality in the work that we perform. From an accounting standpoint, this year, accounting standards, there was one new accounting pronouncement that was adopted by the district, but did not actually have a material impact on the financial statement. So nothing should look different, if you will, from what you've typically seen in the past. We do pay close attention to areas where management has the ability to apply judgment and estimates. Examples of that would be the local control funding, or LCFF, revenue calculation, useful lives of capital assets. You have your pension liability calculations that are included in the financial statements, and then should there be any loss contingencies, so pending lawsuits, those sorts of things, additional procedures would be applied there. I'm happy to report that there were no audit adjustments as the result of our procedures, meaning that we did not identify anything that required correction or was not of a level that would require correction, but significant enough that we would need to bring it to your attention. So clean audit, if you will, and that the financial information presented to us was noted to be completely accurate. If you're looking through the financial statements themselves, I think you have some paper copies in front of you. I would refer you to page 78. And this is kind of a nice snapshot of the results of our audit procedures. And so remember in the beginning, I mentioned that we perform 4 separate audits. We audit the financial statements. And in that case, we are issuing an unmodified or a clean audit opinion. Because we're performing an audit under governmental auditing standards, we're also required to issue an opinion on the internal controls of our financial reporting. And so we had no findings as it related to internal controls, and therefore we're issuing also an unmodified opinion there. Given the level of federal funding that's received by the district and the related expenditures, we are engaged to perform a uniform guidance audit over those federal expenditures, so very prescribed in nature. This year we tested 2 programs, the special education cluster and then the remaining COVID-19 or ESF funding cluster, and had no findings as it related to the federal funding or expenditure testing that we performed. Lastly, we perform an audit over state compliance. There are, I think, 42 different state compliance procedures that the district could be subject to. And so in performing that testing, we've actually issued what's referred to as a qualified opinion, meaning that we did have findings in this area. And because of the level of the finding, one in particular, we've had to qualify that as a material weakness. And compliance is really a pass-fail, right? You either complied or you didn't. So if you wanted to flip to page 81, you'll see the first finding that we have here, and it is classified as a material weakness. This is a finding related to classroom teacher salaries. So there is a requirement that the expense of education be 55% or more. And in this case, the calculation was 53.6%, which is deficient by 1.4% or just over 2.7 million. So given the dollar amount in question there, we were required to identify it as a material weakness. I want to be careful here. The finding is related to the category of expenditure. There was no question over the, I'm going to call it, authorization of the expenditure. So we're not saying that there was $2.7 million in expenses that shouldn't have been paid. It's just the category in which the payment was made and this special calculation under state compliance. The second finding relates to the after-before school education safety program calculations. And in 3 cases, there were discrepancies between the supporting attendance records and the reporting that had been filed. And so there was an overstatement of that after-school program ADA of 10 students. So again, that's classified as a finding. I'll pause in case there are any questions for myself, Scott, or no. All right, well, I would like to extend certainly our appreciation to the Business Services Office. They handled the hiccup in receiving information seamlessly. They provided everything to us very timely outside of what was still missing. And then once, that information was available, we're very transparent in answering our questions, making themselves available, and certainly that extends even down to the school sites. We ask for attendance records from school sites, other supporting information. So definitely a pleasure to work with your whole personnel team, and I think that the audit results, overall are very favorable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And I just wanted to comment that the audits, all the financials take a ton of work, and I appreciate the accounting staff. LRS is in the audience tonight. She's our director of accounting, just does a ton of work on this stuff. And so thank you very much. Yeah.
Please extend our gratitude and appreciation to your team. I know that's very big, and to have such a clean audit. Thank you. Do we have action plans with regards to the discrepancy of the attendance? We've already discussed the previous discrepancy.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say we have an action plan, but that's something Tina and I need to work on as far as just make sure we have a good systematic approach to making sure we get that right.
Can I get a motion? Approved?
Make a motion, we approve.
A second.
A motion by member Ciola, second by member Quilty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. E, second.
You again.
No, I'm the discussion today, apparently. So, sorry in advance.
Okay, well, I guess the good news is a lot of the slides look very familiar because we did this back in December. Thank you. So you've seen this slide before. In December, the arrow was down first interim, where we've now moved on to second interim. And basically, the budget is always a snapshot in time, and we have a lot more information, so we update the budget for new information that we have. This slide is also familiar. Not a lot has changed on this, but the LCFF funds are 160 million. It was bumped up just a little bit from first interim. I think it's 159 then, but it's still a year-over-year decrease of dollars, 2.6 million. And state funds, we actually did see an increase in state restricted funds, about $4 million. There's it's really a few different programs that kind of make up that difference. A lot of it has to do with our CTE program, so additional funding that it's not really additional funding. We get reimbursed for a lot of those dollars. So if the expenses go up and we have enough grant available, we're able to claim those dollars. So about $4 million increase on the state funds over first interim. And then federal revenues is projected to decline about 1 million. It's also a reimbursement program. So if our expenses are lower and to some degree, then the revenues would come in lower as well.
Hey, Scott, what is the LCFF Equity Multiplier Grant? I heard the Golden State Pathways.
That is a great question, and I'm sure Tino can answer.
So we have we get supplemental concentration funds through our LCFF, but we also get, this is the second year we get equity multipliers. So schools that have a high stability rate of kids who come and go to the school, and if we have a free reduced lunch rate of 90% or greater, get the extra funds per year. So we have YCAA, Alpal High School, and then this year we have April Lane Elementary. Those are the three schools that get the funding. So they get extra funding on top of what we get in supplemental concentration. And those goals actually have to be written in our LCAP for each school.
So define come and go.
It'd be like for example, if a student starts the school year in August, disenrolls, let's say in November, comes back. Again, that school year, that's not a stable, they call that as not having a stability. So that's part of it. And plus the second part is 90% non-free reduced lunch. So those two indicators, they have a formula that gets us extra money.
Okay.
They're
And this is
specific
a
to
totally-
those schools, right? And you can only use those dollars on those
To those specific schools.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and this is a totally ditzy question, but I'm okay to ask it. And that is, so all lunches are now free. I mean, they're paid for by the US tax dollars, but why are we still using that? Did you say, if they are available for free or reduced lunches, but everybody gets free lunches?
So why is it still calculated as a percentage for sites?
Because that's how we get most of our, so our unduplicated funding is based on our.
But let me take that question. So it used to be based on this free and reduced application.
Right.
Okay. We still have to gather the information. We actually don't even call it that, I don't think, anymore. It's an alternative income form. So we still need to gather the information about the income, but
Which is self-reported, right?
it is self-reported.
Yes.
Okay, so, because when I remember filling these out, it's like me and a pen and a number.
Yeah, so that's a good question. In the federal National School Lunch Program, it's still self-reported, but there were certain requirements to audit those, or a certain percentage of those. There's not necessarily that same requirement through this alternative income form, but there was a somewhat of an audit process when it was free with these forms.
But no longer.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's not the only indicator on the unduplicated count. It's also our EL students.
Okay, right.
And our foster.
Okay. Thank you. I've been actually wondering that for a while. So I was brave enough to be stupid enough to ask it. Thank you.
I don't think a lot of people know that though. Same slide as first interim, just kind of the historical enrollment trend, which links directly to dollars for the school district. So you can kind of see the trend there. I won't belabor that, you know it. These numbers haven't changed too drastically, but 220 million, 221 million in revenues. Most of that is the local control funding formula. And of that slice of that pie below local control funding formula, a significant chunk is supplemental concentration dollars, which we do kind of the extras to support students in that.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question about this, the slide previous? This number of students enrolled, that's based on the October CBEDS, correct?
Correct.
So what do we have currently?
It's up. I don't know exactly what.
So our enrollments come up.
Yes.
But you're still trending it way down.
So every number on this entire slide is this exact same date. So it's all relative. It's all first week in October, and all trending. So CBEDS. And the historical trend of this district is it kind of goes in a few ways, but it does come back up and drops back off, kind of around the winter holidays, and then it comes back up a little bit. So we do get some seesawing during the school year.
But my question here is, you're trending it down toward the 26 and 27 school years. Does that take into account the building that's going around here?
No, it does not. There's been building, in this county.
Well, there wasn't, for the last few years, there hasn't been much, but now it's picking up again. So
I look forward to seeing those students at our school district. Yeah.
And let's hope our trend is up.
Yes.
I'm glad to be wrong on this slide. So if it's right, if I'm wrong again, that would be great news. Expenditures, 245 million. You'll notice that's 24 million above our revenues. However, a lot of that is spending down restricted dollars, and that's what we're supposed to do, is spend those dollars down anyway. So I'll get to the rest of the detailed numbers in our next slides here.
So we shouldn't be having a heart attack.
Not quite yet, no. So this is, you kind of break up all those numbers. These are all the different categories, the columns, unrestricted, restricted, combined. Combined is just obviously the combination of both the unrestricted and restricted columns there. The health of the district, as I say often, is what's in that unrestricted column, because those are dollars that can be spent on anything. Restricted is very narrow scope of what you can spend those dollars on. I just noted at the bottom there, we do have a deficit spending in this report of $6 million. And that's an increase in deficit spending projected. Of a couple $1 million, but in this number we have a capital outlay number of close to $5 million in the unrestricted. That is us moving forward on the solar project. So that solar project is you're going to see dollars going out, and then savings, in future years. So I think going forward, we're going to have a little discussion of how to report that, so you get a better understanding of, what's going expenses, because I don't want this to disrupt your understanding of what, the condition of the school district. But kind of what I'm getting at is that $6 million is not as bad as it looks, because we have one-time capital outlay associated with a solar project of roughly $4 million. Ending fund balance is kind of your safety net. It's your savings account, to make sure you can withstand the ups and downs of what happens in the economy and our school district. The top line is the largest portion of that $58 million in ending fund balance. 38 million of that is restricted dollars. Again, can only be used in certain areas. We have to set aside 3% of our operating costs. That's roughly $7 million. And then you can see the unassigned and revolving cash as well. We're required to, both in our documentation, but also at the board presentation, describe what is in our restricted ending fund balance. So this is a breakout of that $38 million. You kind of see what this what this shows to me, but we know for a while, is we're getting back into what we call categorical programs. We have a lot of restricted dollars coming towards us that whether or not we need the funds, they're given to us, these funds to us in a certain way, and we have to spend it in that certain way. So you can kind of see some of these. And this is all Tino's world. So lucky Tino gets all this budgeting to figure out all the different nuances of how to deal with all these different programs. These are all, ed services, programs that support students. Multi-year projections, and I'm already over my time limit. Sorry, Jasmine. These are some of the major assumptions that go into the multi-year projections. Funded ADA is the biggest driver to that. So we had a big drop in this year. 10,800 is our funded ADA for this year. It actually bumps up a little bit. I know it sounds weird because our enrollment was going down, but it has to do with kind of the safeguards that we get in our how we account for that funded ADA. And then it drops back down by another 100 plus students in 26, 27. The other thing that is a change from first interim is the 25-26 column. When you see the LCFF COLA, that number says 2.43%. At first interim, it was 2.93%. So that is definitely it's a calculated number. The projections have come down. Everything else on that is pretty much the same.
Scott,
Yeah.
I think I have to get back to you on this, but the STRS and PERS, I know that there was some talk about how with the contract agencies we would need to include some of that, like there'd be additional fees because we would need to pay them for the PERS and STRS or something like that.
Well, so you can actually see the PERS, second line from the bottom, is increasing. So we have projections on what that is looking like. So that's a percent of all classified payroll. The employer portion of PERS for this year is 27.05, going up, a little over 0.5% for next year, and going up for the following year.
But I'm talking about like our contract employees, like if we have a speech contractor, that where we right now don't have to pay a percentage to PERS, we would be required. And I can't remember if it's next year or sometime soon.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that impact yet, but I'm sure I will be. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just taking the same numbers, we just add 2 columns there, 25, 26, and 26, 27. Those are out years for projections. This includes unrestricted, restricted. This is the whole budget for all those years. And we do have some deficit spending in the out years. I put those green lines on the bottom because, again, that's the change in the unrestricted ending fund balance. That second line from the bottom, that is probably the most important part of that entire thing. What are we doing around unrestricted funds? So we have minimal deficit spending projected in 25-26 and then a surplus in 26-27. This is without the impacts of negotiations. Of course, we want to make sure our staff is paid well. We will obviously, once we settle, the impacts of those dollars will be put into the budget. These are our other funds. 4 of our significant funds. Child development has their own fund. Child nutrition has their own fund. We have a deferred maintenance fund and Melrose. These are builder fees in Fund 49. So they're all doing fine. And child development is definitely deficit spending this year. And we have about $1 million balance there. Child nutrition, we're deficit spending, but that's planned. We actually need to reduce that ending fund balance to some degree.
Is the Fund 13, does that also include staffing?
Everything to do, yes. Staffing, supplies, services, everything to do with student nutrition.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And big picture, broken record, you know these things. Declining enrollment, declining AD, declining revenue. Revenue's not keeping pace with what we get on a per student basis as the COLA. So we need to make sure that and the next line is related to that as well. We just need to make sure that as our expenses are aligned with our revenues going forward. I don't think there's anything else new in that slide. So we are certifying this budget as positive. That's where you want to be. If we were looking ahead, not being able to pay our bills in those 3 years out, we would have a different conversation here. It would either be qualified or negative. But at this point, the budget is fine. We just have to, take heed to some of the warnings that and reality of our district. Questions? I absolutely failed at the time. Sorry.
If there's no questions,
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by member Ciola, second by member Lamb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. C, expulsion, suspended contracts, and readmissions. This recommendation.
I move that we approve as discussed in closed session.
Second.
And a motion by member Pretty, and second by member Ciola. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. D, second reading for proposed revisions to revise receipt board policies.
Thank you. So at the last meeting, there were some questions and some information that I need to go back and bring back to the board. So I think the first questions were answered. I'm going to direct you to board policy 2121, which was the superintendent's contract. There was confusion, and I've submitted on the last in front of you. It is the last page. So I read that thing several times trying to figure out what was wrong. So what happened was there was added language in CSB's version. So you'll see what was struck through. So it should read, however, the board may take action to terminate the superintendent without cause during any month in which a regular meeting of the board is not scheduled. I think we're sent now.
Okay, but let's still, we have a board meeting scheduled every month, right? So how does that work?
So you would hold that. So you would hold the termination of the superintendent at a regularly scheduled meeting. So that many districts don't have a board meeting every month. So often they don't have one in July. They don't have one, during different months. So if you wanted to terminate the superintendent, it needs to be
Without cause.
correct.
It needs to be when?
Is not scheduled, so that not needs to go away. And that we can do it during any month in which a regular board meeting is not scheduled. So
And that is the actual head code. So that
That
is
doesn't make any sense. Does that make sense?
If you didn't have a board meeting in July, then this would come into play. Right?
So if we wanted to terminate the superintendent without cause, we would have to cancel our July board meeting to have a month without a board meeting.
No, but you can't do it during a special board meeting.
Right, you have to do it during a regularly scheduled meeting.
Am I crazy?
No, I hear what you're spitting.
You're mopping what I'm spilling?
Yeah, that.
Okay. What's the education level of the lawyers who write this
So
garbage?
this is actually an education code.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking at
what
it.
I took out
Exactly
was
what
the
it says.
extra language. So during any month, so the board may take action to terminate the superintendent without cause during any month in which a regular meeting of the board is not scheduled.
Yeah,
So does that mean
any month.
They need to
never,
fix that.
regular
No, it's
meeting.
never.
Well, but it's ed code for all school districts.
Yeah, but this.
Our school
Make
district,
it-
our school district does have a meeting in July. So I understand what you're saying.
I move that we cancel all July board meetings.
No, but the thing is that we can't talk about any of that stuff during a special board meeting anyways, based on the board policy.
correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So
So I
That
think
is
we're,
the
you
intent.
take what applies and you leave the rest.
Yeah.
Is what I'm assuming, because there's 3 different points to it. So the first point says you can't do it during a special or emergency board meeting. The second
So it has
says,
to be a regular meeting. Ergo, correct?
Except for, this is an exception.
yeah, and the second one says you can't do it, you have to do it in a month if you don't have a meeting, or you can't do it within 30 days after the first convening of the governing board after an election.
Right, that's totally understandable.
So I think we would just follow that one and leave the rest.
no, but they're two different things. It's A and it's B.
So I think
However,
it's one or the other. You pick what one would work for you.
One's that.
That's what I'm saying.
Or, like, this.
I don't know.
Can't do it
When
at
you
a
say
special
A
meeting.
and
You
B,
can't
I
do it at
think
a
it's-
special meeting.
It's gotta be at a regular meeting, but you can only do it in a month where a regular board meeting is not scheduled.
So I think it's at.
Make it make
If you don't
sense.
have a regular board meeting, you can schedule, it's an exception to the rule, you can schedule a special board meeting and do this.
No, because that
No,
says
because
you
that's the
can't.
first one. You can't do it at a special board meeting.
But I believe this is an exception to that, that's what I'm getting.
Oh,
Crazy.
yeah, it's very.
Okay, so let's just read what
It's
it
clear as
says.
mud.
The board shall not take action to terminate the superintendent without cause at a special or emergency board, emergency meeting of the board. Additionally, the board shall not take action to terminate the superintendent without cause or within 30 days after the first convening of the board after an election at which one or board members are elected or recalled. However, the board may take action to terminate the superintendent without cause during any month in which a regular meeting of the board is not scheduled.
And that was-
Okay, the grammar here is garbage
I think
because.
it's the second "not" that needs to go away.
But also, now that you read it out loud, thank you, Madam President. But this is an independent clause and should therefore stand alone. The board shall not take action to terminate the superintendent without cause. Now you have a coordinating conjunction. That's an independent, so it should stand alone. Or, so that says, we shouldn't take action to terminate the superintendent without cause.
So I have the actual education code directly in front of me. So number 2, the governing board of a school district may hold a regular meeting pursuant to section 5494, the government code, for the purpose of terminating a superintendent or assistant suit at the school district or both without cause during any month in which a regular meeting of the governing board is not scheduled. So that is the actual, the governing board is not scheduled. So that's the actual education code.
I think it's a typo, but
Well, then I reject
Call
this.
them and tell them.
Well, forget it. I'm not making their mistake my law.
I'm looking up to see if it's been corrected online.
No, it hasn't.
That's what she's looking at.
There's one here.
No, the last update is from the 1st of January.
Maybe they could go through some fourth grade grammar.
No, but
I get it.
I agree with you. It's like a double negative. We can't do it.
Well, there's that, yeah, but then there's also the other issue with the, you can't terminate them without cause. Or within 30, so there's like 2 barriers to terminating them without cause. But I don't want to make this I don't want to vote and make this now it's our law when it's trash.
I understand, and as an English teacher, I totally appreciate what you're saying, but it is ed code. So whether or not we approve it, it is ed code, period.
Well,
It supersedes what we do.
okay, well, here would be my proposal, okay? And that would be to contact, I guess, a representative over at CSBA. Ask for clarification if the almighty ed code has not made an error, then we must be in error, so please explain
So
it
let
to
us
us.
pull, my suggestion would be pull policy 2121 and I'm actually meeting with our attorney tomorrow at 8. Bring this up to them and have them review the language to clarify so that it doesn't, so you know the intent. I think it's obviously stated, but that is education code. I can't change ed code.
Yeah.
I cited it directly. I made the correction. So I will talk to them about, is there a way to refine this so it makes more sense?
Right.
So I will request that we pull BP 2121.
So I suggest that we just look at the first 2, A and B, and forget about C.
Well, even B is wrong.
We can't.
Well,
Even that one is wrong.
You have to go by the code though.
I know, but I mean,
Which ed code?
after an election, that makes sense.
Well, yes, that part makes sense. The part I have a problem with is additionally, you may not terminate them without cause. Or it should just be without cause within 30 days of an election, but they've added that coordinating conjunction indicating that the primary clause is independent and can therefore stand alone. So let me know when Ed Code wants to talk to me about basic grammar
Yeah.
rules
All right.
and intent.
So,
Because you
yeah.
can't guess intent. It is what is on the paper.
So I think the superintendent wants to pull this item.
My recommendation is right, because again, this is exact ed code citing. I understand there seems to be confusion. The intent is we can't terminate within 30 days of any board member receiving, and then the next would be is the meeting time. So let me talk with legal regarding the confusion around this language. I'm excited by ed code, what they might suggest to make it one better.
Does Ed Code have a helpline?
I have a question. I have a question on page 24.
I would
though,
totally call
policy, even though we're pulling it. So you struck out, or somebody struck out, the board may consult with district legal counsel prior to holding a closed session with the designated representative to discuss compensation to be paid to the current or prospective superintendent. Why was that struck out?
But
It's
Page 24,
sorting.
under point 12.
because compensation has to be discussed in open session.
Gotcha.
So, okay. Okay, so compensation in particular, but when it comes to us being able to contact or have communication with the district council in regards to other matters, like personnel matters, that can still be allowed by the board.
Right, so this is strictly about compensation. Compensation always has to be discussed in open session.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, but one other correction. Okay, this one should be easy. So, hold on, let me just.
She doesn't.
So, two things, VP 6000, there were words that were added, supportive, positive, and engaging manner. There was conversation regarding, was it needed? There was no, I think it was just added. It's not education code, it's a matter whether or not the board wants to keep the language of supportive, positive, and engaging manner. You can keep it or elect to delete it. It is
What page?
well on the board. I think
This one, keep it or delete it.
I was the one that brought this one forward just because, look, if it's a brochure and it's marketing, great. Like, yes, I think we all can agree with that, but we've got to keep the main thing, which is education. And so in a board policy, that's where I go. It's not a market, this is not a marketing effort or anything. So
Strike it or leave it.
that is I would like to strike it.
All right, rest of you guys.
I don't see any problem with keeping it, truthfully.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
so what's your guys' pleasure?
So I think that the action, the motion will need to be called in terms of the changes to the proposed language. So right now is whoever makes the motion.
I'm making a motion to approve policy 6000, provided in a supportive, positive, and engaging manner is struck. With the
Is
word
it
struck.
6164.2?
What is your problem with that, actually? I don't understand your problem.
Well, my problem is purpose. So for the board policy, this is a, to me, a legal document. Like, this is how we follow it.
Okay.
So you have some very vague terms we have some very vague terms in here, which we're not required to have. But by voting on them, supportive, positive, engaging manner, in a way in which we haven't defined what that is and what the parameters are we therefore not liable for somebody saying, well, I didn't feel like it was supportive when it's part of our board documents? It just, because it is very squishy in a legal document, striking it helps keep it more, there's more clarity. We already have the governing board desires to provide a comprehensive research-based curriculum that motivates every student to succeed.
So you're not gonna question the word motivate? I mean, what does that mean?
Well,
If we start nitpicking every single word,
I know.
it's vagaries, we won't have anything.
Well, I could understand that, except when this was put forward to the board with the changes, these words were added. I'm not suggesting deleting the previous words, but however, these ones were added, and that is what we were asked to vote on, and therefore that is what I have to take issue with. Is that it's not clear, it lacks clarity, and can therefore leave us open.
Okay, so we have a motion to strike those words, right?
And approve policy, and otherwise approve policy 6,000.
Okay, so can I get a second? I'll second. On a motion by member Ciocciola, second by member Dami. All those in favor? Actually,
Let's do
yeah, roll call. Let's do roll call, please. Sorry, Laura.
Member Bosslet? Yes. Member Ciocciola?
Yes.
Member Tor?
No.
Member Lamb?
Yeah.
Member Pretty?
No.
Member Quilty?
No.
President Dami?
Yes.
We have 4 yeses and 3 noes.
So to strike. Okay, thank you. Okay, and the last clarification in the packet is on page 105 for BP 61642, and the question was regarding the financial aid for immigrant students. That was in reference to the Dream Resource Center grant. The district does not have the resource grant, so that actually needs to be stricken from the policy. I apologize, it was an oversight. So the language regarding on page 105, all of the language related to the Dream Resource Center is going to be stricken from the policy because we do not have that grant.
Okay, can I just ask a procedural question with regards to that? So who, if we had not brought up the question, where is the stopgap between what goes into the board policy and comes to us? Like where, I think you had told me this before, depending on who's,
So process.
it comes from CSBA.
It comes through CSBA. It's distributed based upon the departments that oversee this type of policy. And I'm going to take responsibility because I did not read every single policy to the level that I probably should have. I would have caught that, but it didn't get caught. So I will be reading every policy moving forward in order to avoid these types of errors. So I'm taking full responsibility.
But wait, okay, I just imagine there's also sub-departments, like, no? Okay, thank you. So do we need to then make a motion on?
So I need to.
Well, actually, that gets a little dicey now, doesn't it? Because
So-
oh, never mind.
Do we need to take this motion separately?
So you can take basically the motion for the approval of the policies with the one change because you've already and pull BP 2121. So you're pulling 2121, and then with the changes to policy BP 61642, then so it would be with changes and pulling of 2121.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I move that we do what Doreen just said.
So a motion. So a motion
To pull BP 2121 and delete the language in BP 61642 regarding the Dream Resource Center data.
I second.
And then approve. Okay, and a motion by member Pretty, second by member, sorry.
It's okay. Ciocciola today.
Ciocciola,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Lamb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All
That
right,
would be a compliment.
Oh, stop.
E, approval of Bernard's Children's Center roofing project.
The one correction to the staff report on that is the fiscal impact at the bottom. The funding source is Fund 12, and then Fund 14. Fund 12 is the Children's Center Fund.
Any questions? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by member Lamb, second by member Ciocciola. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. F, approval of YC adjust roof being installed.
Yeah, so I don't have anything to add to the staff report. So essentially, we are doing some more roofing work and to bid and recommend the hold on, this is bid, but it's a piggyback bid onto the CMAS contract, so. We're recommending approval of this project for $293,000.
Any questions? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve?
Second.
A motion by member Ciola, second by member Lamb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. G, resolution BR 2425-033, reestablishing Fund 21.
Fund 21 is, we have separate specialty funds. We've kind of talked about a few today, child nutrition, preschool center. This is a fund that's used for building projects. We're doing a solar project. We just want to open that so we can kind of keep all the accounts in that one fund to move forward. And we just need a resolution from the board approving this.
Can I get a motion? There's no questions?
I move that we approve.
Second.
A motion by member Liddy, second by member Ciola. Can I do roll call, please? Or can we do roll call, please? Thank you.
Member Boslett?
Yes.
Member Ciola?
Yes.
Member Core?
Yes.
Member Lamb?
Yes.
Member Pretty?
Yep.
Member Quilty?
Yes.
President Tommy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. H, non-reelection of certificated employees.
Thank you. I bring forward per education code that requires us to notify prior to March 15th the non-reelection of a certificated staff member. Recommendation by staff is the non-reelection of employee 113142.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion, we approve?
Second.
A motion by member Ciola, second by member Bonslett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. YCSD school site safety plans.
Education Services Department is requesting the approval of the 2025 site safety plans. They've been developed and vetted through site council for each school site, and we seek approval.
Cool. Any questions?
Yeah, there are elements of this that are only available in a binder, right?
Those are the like evacuation procedures, shelter in place.
This is not comprehensive, right?
And we're not shooting people with Nerf guns.
We are not.
That is a shame. That's fun.
No, it was not fun.
Any other questions?
It was not.
I'd let you shoot me, Shelley. The Nerf gun.
Any other
Sorry.
questions? Okay, can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. On a motion by member Ciola, second by member Lamb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion
Madam
carries.
President.
15, board reports, information and discussion. Any board reports?
Yes, I attended the Yuba City Charter School board meeting last week, I think. And they're doing a lot of stuff in terms of vocational education. They're looking to build a new kitchen because their culinary department is really growing. And they're having the same issue that we are, and that's trying to get more students. So that was a big discussion on how to appeal to the community to get more students there. But they're doing a lot of wonderful things. And I already told you last week, they can't have any chickens at the fair. So they're doing 2 rabbits. So when you go to the fair this year, make sure you look up their rabbits.
Okay. All right. Written communications from the public? I don't think there are any.
We're not.
Comments from employee reps? Hello, Ms. Lukens.
Good evening, board, staff, and anybody in the audience. I'm Gail Lukens, president of the Yuba City Teachers Association. A couple things I'll address tonight. First, I appreciate this board's dialogue today and interest in improving our practices of paying employees in an efficient manner. I do want to bring to your attention, since it was brought up tonight, that in October of 2022, YCTA brought it to the attention of the district that the district appears to be in violation of Ed Code 45059. That states, if the pay is an hourly, daily, biweekly, quadro-weekly, or monthly rate, the district shall pay the employee within 10 days after the end of each calendar month or regular pay period during which the services are performed. That ed code is suggestive that if we perform services on October 31st, we're paid on November 10th. The district practices don't seem to be in line with that. YCTA listened at the time to concerns about all those things you heard tonight about the paper processing and the multiple signatures and the multiple reviews. But we were assured that the district would make progress towards expediting the process. Regrettably, that hasn't happened yet. So it is my hope that in your continued interest in attempting to pay employees in a more timely manner, we'll make progress. I do want to let you know that when we first brought the issue to the district's attention in October of 22, Mike Reed was the assistant soup of HR. We brought it up again when the assistant soup of HR was Flores Henry. So I would hope we can make progress without yet another assistant soup of HR. So I appreciate your interest in moving this forward. I recognize there's a lot of processing, a lot of work that gets done, a lot of review of timesheets. I just hope that we can continue in a growth process. We ask teachers to engage in a reflective practice to continue to figure out how can I do it better? I think we can do it better, and I appreciate the efforts to do it better. I'd also like to address the safety plans. Safety in our schools is more challenging than it's been before. This district's taken a lot of effective actions to help protect safety. Unfortunately, those actions have included making our schools sometimes look like enclosed fortresses. Still keep hoping someday there won't be a cyclone fence maze to get to the front door of Lincoln School. But I do appreciate that we've made our campuses more secure. It is another one of those areas where we continue to work. I appreciate Board Member Pretty's mentioning we're not shooting people with Nerf guns, because we've also rethought how we drill for active shooters. We need to make sure that our drill for active shooters isn't traumatizing. So I appreciate that we no longer engage in drilling in those manners. It's a delicate balance of protecting student and staff safety so that they feel safe at school, while also being prepared for bad things to happen. So I appreciate all the work we've done in that area. And I will tell you that YCTA has been thoughtful and deliberate in our hopes to improve safety, and brought forth to the district at our last session some modifications to our contractual article about safety. It weighs heavily on our minds. And then finally, I'd like to conclude with just a few mentions. Some of the board actions you've taken the last couple weeks have begun the retirements. March 1st is the deadline to notify if you're planning to retire and eligible for the retirement incentives from the district. I'd like to recognize the 3 folks who you took action on. I was at April Lane today. I have to tell you, the April Lane teaching staff is incredibly diligent and dedicated to figuring out all the ways to meet the diverse needs of all our students and figure out how to get them the right interventions, rearrange students, figure out interventions, and also address an incoming population of students speaking Farsi. I've watched that staff do that together for a number of years. Well, next year they will have 3 vacancies at April Lane, 1 because of increases in enrollment, but 2 because of retirements. Jennifer Curtis came to this district in 2011 and is retiring, and John Rosecrans is retiring from 3rd grade, having come to this district in 1994. So we wish them well and hope that April Lane will be able to replace these teachers and hire the new one. In the case of John Rosecrans, for those of you who've been on elementary campuses, you know, it's unusual to have a male teacher in K-5. So John Rosecrans is the only male teacher at April Lane, so hopefully the gender balance is not there, but it'd be nice if we had a representative in the ranks. And then I'd like to also recognize Robin Zaragoza. Robin Zaragoza is retiring from AK. Robin Zaragoza is the last staff member from the original Andros Carperos Middle School. That's what we were back then. Robin was in that first group of teachers who started a school without a school. They started school at Lincoln and St. Isidore's Church. And I am proud of the work that they have done to build AK into the school it is, welcoming in the formerly West Walton folks to become a TK to 8 school, and Robin Zaragoza has been instrumental in that commitment to the students of AK, and she will be sorely missed. And then I'd like to recognize Allison Wary. Allison Wary joined the district. She was actually the 3rd year of AK, so Allison started at AK and then moved over to USA High School. Allison was instrumental in the Project Village, a grant that was instrumental in Yuba City High School teachers thinking about thinking and how to teach students to think. Allison took a lead role in that project, has been the content lead for a number of years, and has been a exceptional biology teacher at Yuba City High School. And my last person I'll mention, I've mentioned him before, but David Satterley is retiring. David Satterley started in this district in 1978. David started at Bridge Street back before Bridge Street had walls. Well, they had some walls, but they taught in pods of 4 where there were no walls between 4 classrooms. And David Satterley is ending his career now at Berry School teaching 5th grade. So this is just a small sampling of the amazing folks who continue to serve our students at Yuba City Unified. And we continue to hope that we can attract and retain great educators to replace them as they move on to the things that happen after retirement. And for some of you, apparently, that's serving on the school board. So I thank you this evening and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Nancy? Oh, Miss Ebony. Me too.
Good evening. I'll make this really short. Mercedes, I'm Peggy Costa. I'm Vice President of our chapters 265. Mercedes is attending the PARA conference, and she wants to extend her thank you to you for allowing her to do that. Our negotiations team met in February 28th, and there was some progress going on, and the next meeting is going to be March 18th. Our job description task force met on the 24th of February, and we really made some progress, so hopefully we'll continue with that. Our next meeting will be on the 18th of March. I also wanted to just give a shout out to I knew I was going to do that. Ophelia? Okay. On her award today. I'm sure it's much deserved and love to see more given out to our staff. So thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. Comments from board members? None? Comments from superintendent?
Nothing tonight.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and recess to closed session. We'll be back.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Yuba-Sutter home garden and lifestyle expo. Friday to Sunday to the place to grow. Let's discover ways to make our lives shine bright. Join us for a weekend filled with pure delight.
Get spiced, pampered, explore, munch, and see more than 100 vendors that bring
variety. Get details at yshome.show. Together we'll create. Let this passion flow.
You've seen signs marking some of the gyms in Marysville. They're produced by Sapphire Sign Company, providing something small, large, and mobile. With decades of experience, Sapphire Signs has pioneered local production of a variety of signs, like temporary campaign-style signs, welcomes for unique events, building signage, event promotion, and vehicle customization. Need a sign? Make it a gem from Sapphire Sign Company. On the web at sapphiremarketinggroup.net.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba-Sutter and Nevada counties.
Yuba-Sutter done live. It's the truth that comes through.